So I'm going to have this spaghetti squash, which has been crossed with a pumpkin, and this is delicious. We had some earlier that was given to us. And I made a stir fry with purple cabbage, so it doesn't look very attractive, but it's going to taste great, and some kimchi on the side. And yesterday I ate a whole bunch of, well, one of those, not a package this big, one of the Halloween packages of Skittles, but probably, I think this many eggs. And anyway, see what happened is I hadn't eaten sugar for a few days, and because I'm trying to get that out of my system, and I've been unhappy, right? And so I've been eating all sorts of things that I shouldn't eat. And so then yesterday I ate sugar. So I'd been without sugar for a few days, and so now I'm back to day one.
You're eating better than sugar, chocolates.
Well, I did also have a piece of your chocolate cake.
Yeah, that's what you're saying, but you're eating other stuff too, right?
I ate some of these.
Okay, those are chocolates. Huh?
Very good. And Skittles aren't good.
Yeah, because they're not chocolate.
No, I don't I don't like them. It's just that first I went for the Skittles. I don't know why. I don't even like that stuff. Now, Road to Edmond.
Is this thing?
Yep. The acting was really bad. At first, I was like,
is that what's on now?
Yeah. It's like a Christian sort of thing. But anyway, so I really wasn't expecting a whole lot. And anyway, so I was watching it and thinking, this acting is not good. But it went on, and so then I started making stir fry and stuff, and it's still on there. The end. I'm not watching the end right now because I'm eating.
Yeah, exactly right. The dogs will tell us what happened.
Yeah.
You know, if they fell asleep, it was boring. If they're hyper, then it was great.
But they did make it to Edmond before I was coming out here, and it looked like a very nice camp or whatever it is. Yeah. So if Christians are looking for some wonderful place to go, a retreat, then that did look attractive. Having said that, I don't think the movie is really attractive.
No, maybe not.
But James watched The Tempest with
three times less. Of course, I was
Helen
doing other
Mirren.
stuff. Helen Mirren did a great job as Prosper. I presume she's Prosper. So she's playing what's in the original.
And I noticed they did call her Prospera.
Oh, they did call her Prospera. There we go.
Yes.
Okay.
James was saying they should call her Prospera.
Yeah.
And then I listened for it, and yes, they did.
They were doing it, yeah. Because they were changing other things. Well, some other things. I don't think they changed Master to Mistress, which is kind of interesting. So, but, you know, they changed what might have been Sir to Ma'am. I don't know what it could have been in the original. And Father to Mother. So, yeah. Well, she did a good job. Sometimes when people do these kind of experiments, you know, like having Whoopi Goldberg, I don't know if it was ever done, but she was talking about playing Lady Macbeth or something like that. It won't work out, but it might. I don't know. Having Jonah Hill play Marilyn Monroe might be a problem. You know. So, but there you go. Anyway, I thought it was pretty good. You were kind of impressed, as was I, with the aerial scenes. You know, so
I was very impressed. It
flying through the air with the greatest of ease.
Yes, and it sounded great.
And my favorite, Russell Brand. Thank you, Russell, if you're watching, buddy. Every time I see you, you're the handsomest dude in the history of the world. And you've actually got some acting chops as well as being funny. And it's hard for people who are good looking to be funny. I don't think I'm making that up. But he's the one who succeeds. It's his voice, I think.
Yes, James always thinks he's handsome.
Yeah,
I
there's
have
no
a very
doubt about it.
I have very different taste in men.
Well, I just wish I had hair like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, it's awesome hair, you know. Big mutton chops or whatever he wears, you know, the sideburns. Sometimes it's a beard. It's that 70s look, you know, early 70s look. I tried rocking that. I look more like Neil Young than I look like Russell Brand. So, but it's, you know, like, I wouldn't say it's jealousy. It's just, you know, like, I'll be really sad when he gets old. Sadder than me getting old. I don't care. You know, it's like when people, I feel sad. Like, I see rock and roll stars get old, and a lot of them prematurely because they're smokers and whatever all else. I can take me getting old, but not them. It's kind of weird. So it's not really jealousy. It's just, they're kind of like, I won't say gods, but godlings, you know. Anyway, yeah, it's, if you're, you know, like, the language is probably going to be off-putting for most people. I was raised on the King James Version of the Bible, raised so intensely that I memorized whole books, and I'm not making that up. Even the lengthier books like Proverbs or Psalms, rather, I memorized half the Psalms. Again, not making that up. And notice I'm not blinking. So, the King James Version of the Bible was made roughly the time Shakespeare was writing, almost exactly the time Dennis came out. Maybe a little earlier.
Wow, I'm so glad I made stir fry. This is delicious.
I'm looking forward to. But I got me some talking to do. So this is a new feature, I think. Previews. These are like trailers here. Look at this. This means stay tuned, you know, tune in same time next week or whatever, you know, or tomorrow. So this is I figured I'd get some of the most appealing stuff out there. So this one I'm almost exactly 80% finished, and it's going to be a little while because it's in German, and it's like the 20% I've still got to read is something like 100 pages. So it's over 450 pages long, right? So was I doing the calculations correctly? Something like that. It's,
you know, I usually don't like bamboo shoots.
Yeah.
But it's good in this.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of bamboo shoots. So what we're looking at here is Schopenhauer. Ausgewählte Schriften. And look at this guy. This is what's going to make the reading difficult for you people out there at home. There's Arthur Schopenhauer, or as we'd say it, Arthur Schopenhauer. And Arthur means bear, if I'm not mistaken. Look at that bear individual. Bear-like individual. Apparently he's convicted for pushing an old lady downstairs. And she survived, but he had to pay damages or whatever.
Wow.
And
what did she do to provoke that, I wonder?
Probably not much. See, look at Bozo.
Old lady.
You know, like Robert Browning once wrote about someone. He must be evil to deserve such pain. And this guy must have been evil to look that ugly. I think the evil just showed. So I get it from a philosopher acquaintance of mine. Friend would be a little strong. That after the old lady died, this guy was a classicist, a classical philologist. He wrote down, I guess triumphantly, obit annus, obit onus. And annus means old lady. Obit is, we get our word obituary from that. So the old lady's dead. Onus means actually, you know, the onus is on me. It actually means the weight or the responsibility. So the responsibility is dead. So he was kind of happy, celebrating about that. That's, you know, like, he's a pretty nasty individual. And it's nasty reading, you know what I'm saying? It's, he was influenced by Buddhismus, which is Buddhism in German, and Hinduismus, which is Hinduism in German. And especially Buddhism. This guy was a big influence, maybe the major influence when it comes to so-called philosophy on Richard Wagner and everyone. I don't know if Schopenhauer was much of an anti-Semite, but Wagner, I think, believed in reincarnation and stuff like that. Like, he's a left-winger. A lot of people lose track that there's been a strong strain of anti-Semitism amongst left-wingers, and it wasn't just Proudhon, the French socialist. Karl Marx himself wrote 2 or 3, and he was of Jewish extraction, although I think his family tried to convert to Lutheranism. Marx himself wrote at least 2 essays on the Jewish problem. So he was saying, it'll be solved by the final solution will be them converting. Well, that didn't help them in the long run in Germany. And then, that's just the light reading. Here's the heavier reading. A grammar of Misantla, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly. Totenac. Wow, that's amazing. Okay. So studies in indigenous languages of the Americas. And Totenac is actually, we hear of Nahuatl, the Aztecs spoke that. I guess there's some that still speak it. And Mayan. But this is one that was located, and it still is located, to the east of Mexico City. It's a very rough landscape, and there's a few people that still speak it. And a couple of people, linguists here at the University of Lethbridge, study these group of languages, actually, Totonacan languages.
Oh, I can't eat it all.
There's at least 4 of them. And this is like reading mathematics. So I know it'll appeal to you folks out there. Yeah. Stay tuned. This one, it'll be a while down the road because I'm only about a 7th of the way through. And it is slow slogging, but I know this will they're going to be on the edges of their seats, when it comes time to review these things. This, incidentally, ausgewählte Schriften, it's in the original German. It's not like it's translated. So.
No, I've come to understand that really there's no point in, unless you're going to get a job in where you have to speak with people in different languages, like say as a government official or something, I don't know, then there's really no point besides, just to learn more. Say there's a point to learning 2 languages, just to learn languages.
Holy smokes! You're sounding like Friedrich Nietzsche, another German philosopher. He had some problems too. He eventually went crazy.
No point
because you know what he said? He was a philologist, classical philologist.
Learning oral languages, only written. I realized.
Well, he was a philologist, so he specialized in the classical languages, and that's written, right? Dead languages, and classical Greek is basically a dead language, even though it's, what came from modern Greek still survives. But here's what he said. It's something to the fact that once you learn one language outside of your native language, you realize there's no need to learn any more.
Yeah, well, I think he was right. Because honestly, I can see why you specialize in written language. If you want to learn from other people, really, I mean, you could spend your whole lifetime trying to talk, and they say, well, you can learn something from everyone. Well, you can learn the same thing from like a million people, and you can learn different things from some very special people. And they don't have to be alive necessarily for you to learn from them, and it just makes much more sense to learn the written, read what they have to say, because if anybody has anything really that they think is worth teaching, surely they'd write it down.
Well, in the past that didn't apply.
If they could. I know, where there was just some languages.
But the stuff got handed down orally.
Yeah.
So, like if you're going to be a linguist, the linguists actually stress oral language as opposed to written. They say we really don't do written language. So that's why I call myself more of a philologist when it comes to the language thing, because I specialize in the written stuff. That's an old-fashioned term for linguists. But nowadays, it tends to be people who specialize.
Well, you probably know more about linguistics than most people would anyway.
You mean most linguists?
Maybe.
Because I'm a linguistics minor, I should say, who's already taken the required courses to get a linguistics minor, right, at the university. But there are a couple of linguists out of the university, very kind. They were saying to me separately and together that I was one of them. I think I told you that. And one of them actually said she's teaching a course, and she said, I couldn't get into the course. I tried to enroll too late.
Yes.
It's oversubscribed. It was oversubscribed. There was a waiting list. And she said to me, "You actually should be teaching the course."
Yeah.
Now she was being generous. You know what I'm saying? But I'm in the ballpark. I am in the ballpark.
Oh, I know.
I asked one of the linguists out at the university, there's three of them, well, four of them, one of them not in the linguistics department, how many languages he'd taken courses in, outside of the, languages that he used when he was a kid growing up. So he was taught English. He's from Germany, taught English in Ireland. And he would have spoken it, and he lived for a while as a kid in Italy and stuff like that. And then he's lived when he's doing work on the Totonac, and he's lived in Mexico, in Spain. He said, "I've never taken it." Isn't that amazing? Whereas, I don't know how many courses I've taken. It's got to be I've taken 22 languages. That's with some creative accounting. So I give myself credit for studying Chinese, even though I've only really studied the Chinese script and Japanese. But 22 languages at university, and a 23rd on the internet. And that's a lot of courses, because a lot of those languages I just haven't taken one course in.
No, I know. You've taken all that you can get here.
Yeah, which is not many for the sort of stuff that I'm interested in. So Hebrew, it's I've taken 4, that sort of stuff. I kind of wish it were more. I wish I had more time, but I got pretty good at it. And Akkadian, 2 here. I wish it were more, but I've got enough Akkadian, that's ancient Assyrian and Babylonian, to actually have made contributions. I've found,
you caught it.
I've gotten good since I recovered from cancer. But, discovered Ramses in the Assyrian annals, when the Assyrians were monkeying around in Egypt, 500 years after the Ramses were supposed to have ended. Isn't that amazing? And the nice thing is, carbon-14 raw agrees with my redating. So that is a Ramses, and it would be, I suspect, the last of the Ramses. Maybe Ramses the 8th. The 9th, 10th, and 11th didn't exist. They were other Ramses. They were just different names. Ramses the 11th is, I'm positive, just another name for Ramses the 3rd, And I've discovered Burnaburiash, who's supposed to have been a king of Babylon around 1350 BC, and exact date 858 BC. And it's Shalmaneser III actually capturing him. And Shalmaneser III was a king to the north of Babylon, and present-day Iraq is then called Assyria, or something similar. So I found that dude, So I've got enough stuff with Akkadian stuff. I've been able to monkey around a little bit with Egyptian stuff, to the point where, I can... it's easier to read the Egyptian stuff, figure out what's there. It's mainly with the Akkadian stuff that I discovered junk, but that's kind of has to do with philology and linguistics. So it's very, 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 very important, if you're actually studying history or religious studies or philosophy, actually, to be able to control the sources, but to be able to read it. That's what we're talking about, reading.
Yeah.
The speaking it, I don't know. Like if you're going to be working with people, you want to, like out in the field, or whatever. Not just linguistics. If you're going to be trying to help them out, or
oh, sure,
have you help you out, like I think think there's one guy here at Lethbridge who's working on trying to get. He's Cambridge trained, and he's working in the pharmaceutical industry, and he's trying to find stuff out there in the coulees that can be used as sources for chemicals to kill cancer, control cancer. And that's different from a lot of pharmaceutical idiots, right? But I think people should be, like going to indigenous groups around and saying, can you help us out? We'll give you all the proceeds,
I don't know
Oh, they
how
should.
much. Yeah, but I don't know how much I'd want to help people out if I were indigenous at this point. The
Exactly.
population keeps growing
Mhm.
of people who are non-native.
Yeah, exactly right. It's amazing. You get people,
And-
other types of Indians, like real Indians, coming over and they think they've got a right.
And
they're
somehow
settling
they
in-
end up having the amount of land and resources they have is less and less and less.
Sure.
And
So-
they get roads put through their land.
Sure.
For
So it's
why?
especially bad in the lower
Why should they
mainland.
care?
You get kind of like reserves. There never were, aside I think from the Vancouver Island in BC, never any treaters. So in BC,
Yeah,
So-
I know they have now, but
well,
I think they do in
maybe then.
I think they did.
Maybe up
recently.
in what is it called? This goes in Alberta, but up in the north.
Honestly, I
think
think
they're
they should have said, yeah, you
Proclaimed
can
it.
go ahead and pay all of your Vancouver taxes to this First Nation group or whatever.
Yeah. So the lower mainland is just getting horribly overpopulated, and you look, there'll be these little enclaves surrounded. The native, so-called Indian, but indigenous population is just getting swamped by people from Asia, and I don't think that's right. I really don't. But man, I suppose that's politically incorrect. But the issue is not between people from Asia and people from Europe. It's actually native groups. They're getting swamped there by just too many people.
Mhm.
So there's already too many white people there, and so yeah, let's, like two wrongs don't make a right. This is
Yeah.
a different kind of thing. Ordinarily, that means like if someone punches you, you punch them back. That doesn't make it right. But this is a different sort of thing. Like just bringing in more people, and you get people of color, and white people of non-color, or whatever the politically correct term
I
is.
don't know, it's weird.
You bring more in. It's not going to make it better for the indigenous people there. And actually, if you look at the actual record nowadays, you'll find out that white people, I know this is politically incorrect, in places like Canada and the United States treat their indigenous populations just a little bit better than happens in Asia. So there's something like an indigenous population in China, and their kids are getting put in residential schools with no hope, I don't think, of them ever going back to their parents, which is, residence schools are bad enough, but it looks as though they're just being kidnapped from their parents and not being raised under. So it's kind of like indigenous religion, Islam. Their indigenous religion would have been some sort of paganism, but that's a long time ago, 1,000
Yeah.
years ago. Anyway,